He's back. He's back. He's back! And him as well. What up, Naughty Steppers? It's Connor Whitmore here again with another review for you on the Nawtystep channel. And it is time for another debut because this is the first ever Nawtystep track review. Most of you will know by now, but when it comes to an EP or an album, as a rule, any singles released before the project is out in full, I leave until hearing the whole thing. Just so the project can be an entirely fresh experience, hearing all the songs alongside each other. But the other day, Johnny, aka Joyryde, announced that he would be releasing his debut album Brave on Skrillex's label Owsla on November 30th. And that in anticipation of that, he would be releasing his collaboration with Skrillex himself on Friday 19th October, entitled Agen Wida. So initially I sat there thinking I wouldn't listen to it as per, but then I thought, you know, if an exception was going to be made for any track, then it would be this one. Joyryde and Skrillex. I mean, honestly, this is the stuff that dreams are made of for fans of dark electronic music. One of the figures most responsible for all heavy electronic music coming out today and in the last few years. In company with probably the best producer in the bass game at current in Joyryde. Honestly, if you think different to me, then come at me in the comments. I can't see myself budging on this one. So much promise to such an idea that I found myself completely bursting at the seams when news of it came about. And having listened to it a fair few times now, I can definitely say that it lives up to expectations, at least stylistically. A quite thrilling combination of Joyryde's renowned bass house trap hybrid approach and Skrillex's wilder, more jungly antics of late that have seen him play a part in tracks like Chicken Soup and VIPs. Unsurprisingly, the percussion is ridiculously tight and snappy from the very start here. In coupling with that nervy, film score kind of music, setting a daunting scene, suggestive perhaps of someone on the run. And even from this opening section, we are hit with a wave of staple sounds from each producer, laced within that intense structure. The car noises from Johnny, the chirping effects from Sonny, both of which permeate the track in its entirety. To be honest, I can't quite decide whether these chirping sounds are more bird-like or more similar to yapping puppies, but either way, they lend a real vivaciousness and colour to the track overall. It's just so neat and tidy, definitely a part of me that feels like this intro could have been longer to hone in on that painted picture even more. But I think the speed with which it gets to the first drop from the build highlights the real intent of the track. The drums in that build speeding up in the perfect way. This is also where we hear the captivating Agen Wida vocal sample for the first time. And the first drop, well, I can imagine some not liking it because it is pretty left field and out there sonically. A very genuine mix of the two styles here in bringing together bass house and jungle terror almost. A crazy assortment of sounds on show. The kind that asks the listener to go beyond instant enjoyment and just marvel at these sounds, effects and noises working in unison. You've got the mind-melting bass sounds, animalistic chirps, the tribal chime notes, the short puppy barks. It's enough to take you off your seat for sure. There are moments here where I feel the percussion stops itself short slightly, which I assume they did for added emphasis on particular sounds layered over the top. Kinda disrupts the flow of the beat, but they wouldn't just throw that in there, it's calculated, so you have to understand how and why it may work. I also really like the way that the Wida vocal sample is played around with in this first drop. Those finely cut ones layered underneath to keep the pace going, giving it this pulsating appeal. It's impossible not to move to it. And the next thing I want to mention is the midsection, up there with the most unique I've heard in bass music full stop. Essentially a trap breakdown, but it gives you a whole other level of appreciation on top with this enrapturing tribal percussion. The vocal is chopped up fantastically, dancing over the beat, these snappy breaks creating a riveting dynamic between everything going on. Basically, you won't hear something like this anywhere else, and it's sequences like these that tell me this is exactly what I came for with this collaboration. And after effortlessly breaking down into the nervy opening notes once more, albeit more manic this time, we are greeted with a lovely development for the second drop. The sounds are the same, but there's a complete repositioning of them, all ricocheting and rebounding off one another. It's the first drop with more hype. There's more of an animated interaction between the sounds at this point, they're a bit freer, as opposed to just being showcased. We then get a medley of classic Joyryde car effects, and those fuzzy bass house sounds in the progression once again. Before the track winds down with those nervy opening notes again, love the way they filter out like a distorted piece of cinematography, leaving us wanting more. Overall though, what do I make of this collaboration between two of bass music's heavyweight producers? The energy is insane throughout for me, vintage for these two, they really brought the goods on that front. Some won't like this style of music, but for me it's fully reflective of how both Johnny and Sonny can venture far outside the box with their production and ideas. And to be honest, I like these drops a lot. They're playful and uninhibited. They must have had so much fun putting this thing together. The second drop for me is more impactful than the first, but if you see the former as a development and evolution on the latter, then you'll come to appreciate that first drop just as much. Fact of the matter is, you won't see crossbreeds of music to this standard anywhere else. It's a very organic composition, and one that I think you just have to appreciate for what it is. A lot is needed to assemble a song like this, with so much going on, and all of it so ridiculously well cut, so credit where it's due. The transitioning between sequences is also spot on, giving time-stopping moments of reflection, whilst also formulating effective contrasts between the main sections. The heightened moment before the first drop, the helter-skelter build towards the second, the break before the progression in that second drop. As I've said, there are instances where the percussive flow is disrupted slightly, and some will think it errs too much on the playful side as opposed to the heavy one. But let's be real here, this thing is a fundamentally dark track, just told through a bright and punchy lens, and it's difficult not to love it for that. There are similarities to be had with VIPs and Chicken Soup, tracks which I didn't like that much on first listen but really enjoy now. And if I'm already feeling this one a decent amount, who's to know how much I'll enjoy it in the future? It's likely to grow and grow. But I suppose what I'm trying to say here is that this is two fantastic musical minds coming together. If you don't feel yourself enjoying it that much yet, then I urge you to listen to it again and again. There's a real mastery involved here beneath surface level enjoyment. The more you realise those intricacies, the more you'll get from it. And it also, in my opinion, sets a fantastic precedent for the Brave album. It's an emphatic, statement-making number, alongside one of the best in the business. Joyryde is certainly back. And so that is that, guys, for my views on the new collaboration between Joyryde and Skrillex. Agen Wida, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much, and as always, for tuning in. What do you guys make of Agen Wida? Do you see it as a good representation of their combined styles? Does it leave you excited for the Brave album? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit the notification bell along the way. For some other reviews on the channel, check out the link next to my head somewhere. Don't forget to like and follow Nawtystep across social media if you haven't already, all of which is linked in the description box down below. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know, guys, so be sure as always to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.